And welcome to Advertising Champions, your go-to destination for insights into the dynamic world of advertising. I'm your host, Tony Stanol, and with us today is Peter Buck, Chief Creative Officer of Riester in Phoenix, Arizona. Welcome, Peter.
Hey, Tony, how are you?
Great. Now, you have an illustrious advertising background from agencies in Germany and England and elsewhere in Europe, United States. And walk us through that very quickly. And then I want to talk to you about, the kinds of things you're seeing in the industry, thoughts you have about work these days.
Okay, I keep that very short. So I'm from Germany. I started working in advertising, I think at the age of 19, and it took off. So I was living in Hamburg, Munich, Düsseldorf, Cologne, Frankfurt, basically in all the 8 big cities in Germany where there were agencies. And at some point I got lucky, moved over to London. Was probably the only copywriter in London who couldn't speak English. So that was fun. Somehow managed my way through that, stayed in London for about 7 years, worked for some big clients, including Mercedes-Benz. Was lucky enough to set up an agency to work on Red Bull. Did that for a few years. Got a call out of Los Angeles, an agency there to lead Red Bull in North America. Did that for several years. Agency was right by the beach, wasn't that lovely? And from there, got another phone call to help lead Spark 44, which was the agency at the time, or still is, but it got acquired by Accenture. But at the time, we did all the work for Jaguar and Land Rover. So I did that for about 5 years. And now heading up the hottest agency in America because I'm based in Phoenix. And the agency is called Riester.
That's right. And tell me about some of the things you're doing at Riester and your observations on your philosophy, say, in the advertising world.
Yeah, I had a lot of thoughts about philosophy and advertising over the last few months or even years, right? And I'm trying to boil it down to a couple of words, and especially recently, when as an agency we started rebranding ourselves, and our, if you want to call it, tagline is everything creative, because we felt like, especially in those days where we are so driven by technology and by the speed of things, we wanted to come back to what an agency should be really good at. And I think everything creative is the expression of that. And then when you boil it down, I was thinking about, what does that actually mean, right? When we say everything creative, what does that mean for planning? What does it mean for consulting, producing work, amplifying the work, meaning media, or all the way to also measuring the work? Is there a way to always look at everything to the eyes of creativity? And I think there is, and philosophically speaking, there are a couple of sentences, and I'm actually going to read them out here. Invisible is enemy. So if you really think about, our job is to make a brand visible, and anything that's invisible needs to be our enemy. So that's our philosophy point number one. And another one is dull is expensive. Think about it, right? If whatever you offer is dull, why would you do that? It'll cost you a lot of money to do it. So whether you do something exciting or versus something that is just dull, it'll cost you the same money. So dull is actually expensive because it becomes meaningless. Another one is laughter is contagious. I know it sounds so cliche, but it's very, very true. An agency should be full of laughter. Whenever we do good work, it's because we had fun doing it. If you don't have fun doing it, it'll show up in the work. And lastly, and I think that's actually probably the most interesting one when it comes to new business, is chemistry over industry. There are so many instances where we get invited to a pitch purely because of our knowledge in the industry, and I'm kind of always struggling with that. And I give you an example. Before I worked on Red Bull, I never worked on an energy drink. So my industry knowledge about the energy drinks market was zero. So, and the next day I was leading North America, right? So you work your way in, but you bring something fresh to the table. The same with when I started working on Jaguar or Land Rover. I had a lot of respect for that type of work because it's very specialized car. And then you realize, well, sure it is, but you bring something to the table that others who have been working in this industry, in the car advertising industry for 20 years, might not see anymore. And so that I think is always interesting. So to me, chemistry is way more important than industry knowledge. Industry knowledge you can always learn and you'll pick it up quickly. But chemistry leads to work, which leads to trust, right? If you don't have trust, you have an issue. Sorry, I'm talking a lot and fast.
No, that's it. And we're just about out of time, but the chemistry point is a great one. I'm an executive recruiter, and I know that hiring decisions are made because of interpersonal chemistry. You got to have certain skills. It's not all about that. So, thanks for sharing that with us today, Peter. We could find the rebrand at Riester.com, correct?
Riester.com, correct. Have a look if you like it. Again, chemistry over industry. Give us a call.
Very good. And thank you for joining us on this episode of Advertising Champions. You could find more of our back episodes and others at dailynewsnetwork.com. And we'll see you next time.
We've been around for 16 years, working with clients, with thousands of clients. We're working with agencies to be able to scale them and grow them and provide them services that would cost them way more than it would for them to do it themselves. Anything oriented around lead generation, video creation, web design, we're full service, so we can really serve most people.